Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Aladdin. This is the live-action remake of the Disney animation Renaissance classic from 1992, I believe. This is from 2019. It's 2 hours and 16 minutes long, and it stars Big Willie himself, Will Smith, and he's the genie. Now, anybody who is going to go into the moment they probably started talking about making this movie, uh, the elephant in the room is how can anybody recreate or possibly match up to Robin Williams' performance in the original? You can't. It is just not not possible. There's people in the animated sequels. Dan Castellaneta, Homer Simpson, has did his best Robin Williams impression in one of the films, and it was good, but it was not Robin Williams. It takes a certain level, and the thing is, when you cast something in a live action, you have to choose somebody that is not just vocally and performance wise, but physically charismatic and engaging and funny and musically inclined, and there's just so many different things that you have to take into consideration. And that's why Will Smith, the Fresh Prince himself, is. I don't think you can find too many of the people who could compare and not try to be Robin Williams, but make Genie his own, and that's what they've done in this film. I'm not going to say this is the greatest remake ever. This is the greatest Disney film ever. No, I'm not going to say any of that. But it was actually really good. And the if you've seen the original, you've seen this one. Technically, it's just a different, obviously a different take on it. Different. There's subtle differences, but all the anchor points are there. All the story beats are there. Things changed around just slightly enough to make a bit more sense here and there for live action, and add a little bit more drama to things. But the songs are there. The songs are probably the most important thing because they're all, not maybe not all of them, but mostly all of them are iconic. All the way from Friend Like Me, and A Whole New World, and Arabian Nights, and just all these various just iconic songs that we know by heart if you've seen the film more than once. Even if you've never seen the film, you're probably familiar with some of these songs. You've probably heard so many of them. Prince Ali, just his entrance into Agrabah, it's just some crazy. It invokes some memorable moments, and they, in a live action setting, and yes, so much of this is CGI, so much of this is digitally created from the ground up. It is evident. Guy Ritchie is the one who directed this, and he's usually like a British gangster movie. Like, didn't he do Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and all this? Yeah, Guy Ritchie, I do not associate with doing Disney films. It's just a little bit. It's a different choice, but he did all right. He did pretty good for a first timer. But no, he knows what he's doing. It's just that a lot of this stuff, you have a choice when you're making this stuff, and I have a feeling that Disney is not going to allow just anybody to just go in there and go do it your way. This is not a thing that happens when you're dealing with a Disney, one of the anchors of Disney history. You're just not going to be able to part too far from the original source material. And of course, all of this, the whole Aladdin story and the genie and all this stuff, all taken from ancient fables and stories from centuries ago. So and they're much darker tales. So yeah, Disney's allowed to do their own version of things, but they're never going to move too far away from what worked in the first place. So music's there. The crazy genie. There's not as many anachronistic weird things. There's a cowboy that shows up. He turns his hands into what look like machine guns or cannons at some point. So things that wouldn't exactly exist in its in the current time of Agrabah. But yeah, this is it doesn't go crazy like they do in the animated film, and they also there's not a ton of like other Disney cartoon references thrown throughout. One of the funny things is I've always thought that maybe I missed it this time around. I didn't. Maybe I blacked out or glanced away. I don't know, but a whole new world. You know, like in the animated film, they fly. It seems like all over the world, like just all over Africa and Asia and Europe and everywhere else as they sing this song on a flying carpet. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be crazy? And I saw them flying through Africa, like the jungles and stuff like that. Did they make a reference to Jungle Book? I don't know, or you know any of the other films. If they fly over China, you could have seen some of the looks of Mulan, and which hadn't been made yet, but still, you know, and they're flying over the oceans. It could have seen instead of dolphins, could have seen mermaids, the Little Mermaid. You never know, all that kind of stuff. Because of course the live action Little Mermaid's coming eventually. Kind of got pushed back a little bit due to the pandemic, as everything did. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance to do a tiny bit of a crossover. But yeah, it's so much of this. You have to expect that, by the way, every Disney film that is a hit is going to get a live action remake at some point. We're going to see a live action version of Frozen and Moana and everything else a decade or more down the road. Once they've lived their life as a cartoon long enough, we're going to see there's a little girl alive right now who is going to grow up, and when she hits like 16, 17 or so, she's going to be playing a live action Elsa or Anna. I'm going to tell you this right now. That's just the way it happens. And that's kind of strange. This little girl might be going to Disneyland right now and has no idea that someday she might be Anna or Elsa when she's all grown up. Weird. Speaking of which, we have a much more. We actually have a cast that reflects the people of this region. So we have people of color in this one. Mina Massoud plays Aladdin. Naomi Scott plays Jasmine. Marwan Kenzari plays Jafar. Nassim Pedrad from Saturday Night Live and so many other things. She plays a new character. I don't recall from the cartoon. I keep saying cartoon, from the animated film. As Jasmine's handmaiden, in a sense, and that adds a whole new wrinkle to the story, especially. Yeah, well, I won't say anything else, but yeah, she adds a whole new wrinkle to the story, and this movie does start out in a very different way because we get to see what seems like the genie in human form. Big surprise! If you've seen the original film, you know how things work out. Although when he was set free, he was still kind of a genie-looking guy. He didn't look too human. And on this one, the genie is telling his story about something that happened in the past. It may not be him. Who knows? But yeah, we get to see a lot going on in there. So it's fun. It adds. The only thing I think I have a problem with is the fact that they made a big deal about Hakim, who is a character in the animated film, and his loyalty to one or the other, to Jafar or the Sultan, and like he didn't seem to have so much of a big part earlier in the film. He's the guy who calls Aladdin a street rat and everything else. He even has a singing moment in one of the chase scenes. You just don't see a whole lot of him until he has to make a big choice, and I think there might have been more of a story to him, more in this film anyway, rather than just some big Goomba kind of guard kind of guy. So, and he changes his what do you call it? I think he has a bigger part in the sequels too. We saw them, we've watched them, we've discussed them in the past. Anyway, speaking, yeah, it's just for me that was the only thing that bothered me. Like, what's the big focus on Hakeem right now? There's a realize the political underpinnings to this, and yes, there's a little bit of a thing that might upset some people, but the idea of a woman trying to be the leader of a country sounds like a horrible thing. That might annoy some people. Because Jasmine, she's lost her mother, ding, ding, ding. It's a Disney trope. Lost mom, we know that from the first film. And she's like, when her father goes, the idea is that, hey, gotta find a prince, gotta find a man to run the country. Yeah. Is that necessary? Well, you know what? She can change the rules if she feels like it. If she becomes leader. Can she become leader? And that's one of the subplots in this. But again, this is all hanging on Aladdin and Jasmine and their relationship, how they connect. They're really good. Abu is so very much digitally created, such a digital monkey, and it's all right. He looks great, but he's digital the whole time. It's just there's no questioning that. Just the way he moves and his face movements and everything else, he doesn't look real. And that's unfortunate. And even it bothered me so much of the Will Smith's genie body not lining up with his face. He's so much more buff and everything else, as genies tend to be, at least. Well, yeah, I mean, Robin Williams' genie had a V-shaped kind of body, but he was not muscular. He was just wide-shouldered and soft. And this genie is all buff and just ripped. So yeah, it didn't see that his face didn't seem to sync too well with the rest of the body as it moved around, and that kind of bothered me a little bit. So that the digital stuff isn't exactly spot on, but that's really not the focus of the film. Again, it's kind of reliving the songs, seeing new takes on the songs, and seeing this world in live action. Now, one of the things I found out as I was typing this into IMDb, so I had a reference for the names and stuff, discovered there's a Aladdin 2 in production for 2025. I don't know if that's for real or not, if somebody just put that in there. I don't know if it's an officially on the Disney slate. I was at D23 in 2019, and I don't recall anything officially being said, and I honestly haven't paid attention since then as to whether it's been announced officially or not, but all the cast has been included, and of course Jafar, as he's defeated, says, "I will not forget you." So you know how he ends up. And will he stick around for thousands of years? Will this pick up thousands of years later with technically the same actors playing different characters? Who knows? What if we had a live action future, or modern day Aladdin story? Would that work? Could we? Yeah. I want to think about it, because it was just the kids of the kids of the kids of the kids. Would one of them become a street rat or royalty, and then we wouldn't want to do the same story again. That just would be bad. So, yeah. Either way, that's for them to show us in a few years, or maybe they'll preview it at D23 Expo this year in September. I'll be there. Will you? So yeah, it's not the perfect Disney film, but I found it enjoyable. It was funny, good characters, good acting, great music, and it pretty much pushes all the buttons. If you're an Aladdin fan, yeah, you might be a purist and you might go, "Oh, they didn't do that exactly the same." Well, you know what? I wouldn't want them to do it exactly note for note, exactly the same. If anything, it's a little too close to the original, and it didn't have too many surprises for me. I kind of want to have more surprises, but it did its job, and it was a lot longer than the original, that's for sure, but it still did what it was supposed to do. So yeah, good on them. Let's pick tomorrow's episode.
342.
342. 342. Come on. I saw this not too long ago uh, when we were searching for something else, making sure that everything was checked off because I'm preparing. I pretty much have everything prepared and set for a few days from now when we move into April and in the next quarter, and we reset everything, take off all the shows we off the list that we already saw, and all the duplicates hopefully are cleaned out, and all the things that have been new or added from the last 3 months are added to the list. But yeah, this one is still here. I thought maybe we saw it already, but we haven't. We're going to be watching Motocrossed. Yes, Motocrossed. It's pretty much one of those Disney Channel original films that fit right into that late '90s, early 2000s, and all the music sounds like Blink 182 ripoff music, and or maybe it's even earlier. I don't know. It could be even earlier. It feels it could be anywhere in the '90s, and if it's in the '80s, holy cow, we're in for a treat. So Motocross is what we're watching next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that. Bye.